How's it going, and welcome to Inside the Z, the Zachary Football Podcast. My name is Scott Pellegrin, Coach Pell, and on today's episode, we have our player interview, the Coach's Spotlight, and Storytime with Coach Brew. Back for another week Inside the Z, the Zachary Football Podcast. That means another week, another player interview. Today we have senior defensive lineman John Varmall. How are you, John?
I'm great, Coach. I'm happy to be here, happy I could be talking to you, and I'm just ready to get the show started off for the day.
You know, we've been trying to get all the seniors, or as many seniors as we possibly can, and everybody says that you don't have no problem talking on camera, and you're not camera shy. So we're gonna test that theory out today, man.
I got you, Coach.
So, we started this thing. We talk about, obviously, Inside the Z. We talk about, what it's like here for those who may not know our program, or even for those who do know our program in the community. So we talk a lot to the seniors about what their experience has been like. We've had guys on here who've grown up here. We've had guys who've moved in. We've had guys who, we had all the captains on here, and we talked about their leadership styles. So give me a little background on you, man. A little bit of background on how you came to be on the football team here.
So basically, I wasn't one of those guys that grew up in Zachary. I grew up in Baton Rouge, Sherwood area, and I moved into Zachary coming into my freshman year of high school. So I didn't really know what the Zachary brand of football was. I didn't know how centered the community was around the school. I didn't know about players. I didn't know about Coach Brew. I didn't really know anything.
Really?
Right. I didn't know who Coach Brew was until my sophomore year.
So I got a question. I want to jump in. I don't want to interrupt your story, but do you find in Baton Rouge, growing up in Baton Rouge, because I've coached inside the city limits of BR,
right,
and it's a little different because it's not as community-based in certain spots. So do kids grow up kind of following the high school sports or anything like that?
So I grew up basically like around the corner from Bel Air.
Okay.
It's not, when I tell you compared to Zachary, like the culture is completely different. Like you don't see people like overly supporting high schools. You don't really see people going too crazy around those areas. Now, I will tell you, Scotlandville, growing up, because my cousin was in the band there.
Okay.
So I pretty much stayed at Scotlandville's game. The support that they have for their school, the band was way larger back then. Football had more of an audience at their school back then.
And they were pretty good back then.
Right.
They
had a rivalry with Zachary.
Yep.
So I would say for where I was specifically, I wouldn't say there was really a culture and a big community behind schools, but I just remember Scotlandville specifically like having a large fan base at the time.
So talk about your journey here. So you move here going into ninth grade, and like I say, you didn't really know anything about Coach Brew or kind of what the legacy was here so far, what was building over here so far.
Right.
So how'd you get accustomed to that or introduced to that?
So it started with my pops, because I wanted to play football in middle school, because I went to McKinley Middle, but I couldn't because sixth graders weren't allowed to play. Seventh grade, COVID happened. In eighth grade, we couldn't find a coach. So my dad found out about Zachary football program, and then one day during the summer, we came in and talked to Coach Q. And so to make a long story short, for the whole summer, I was working out, bouncing around different positions. I actually was with the running back corps.
Really?
At first, yeah.
Okay.
And then eventually I made my way to D-line, because the 1 year in elementary school that I played football, because that's all I had before coming to high school. I just had 1 year of football experience in elementary school. I played O-line. I was a center. And so he told Coach Q that. And so eventually Coach Q felt my place was with the D-line. And so I went through my freshman year, kind of was, for lack of a better word, I was a nobody.
Right.
But I grinded, and I guess you can consider like our freshman championship against Catholic, I was starting for that game. And then after that, spring practice came with going into our sophomore year, made the team. I was actually pretty nervous about it. Because I didn't know what this program had to offer.
So you how many games you started as a freshman? Do you remember? Was it towards the end?
It was towards the end.
So coming in was part of those nerves about the fact that, okay, well now, everybody's not the same age now, because freshmen, everybody comes in together, and now it's going to start. I got sophomores to go against juniors, seniors. Was part of some of that part of the apprehension?
I think what it was the fact that it was new. Like you know our coaching staff, like we high intensity go getters. And so going from freshman to like being in this atmosphere, it was like, whoa, like it hit me. But then I got adjusted to it and I just realized that I had to keep my head down, focus, and do my job every day.
So what were some of your roles on the team? Obviously, you're a senior now, and you're a big part of the game plan, and you start games, and obviously most D lines do some kind of rotation, but you're heavily involved in what we do.
Yes, sir.
What did that look like as a sophomore, as a junior? The special teams action, any rotations back then? How'd that work? So, playing time wise.
This also just a funny thing, just about my journey here in general. My sophomore year, I wasn't even getting in on JV for real, like unless we blew people out.
Right.
I really hammered down on how I could help the team, because once I got acclimated to the culture here, I found out how things work. I built a relationship with the coaches. I wanted to find my place here, figure out what it is that I could do for the team.
Everybody's got a role.
Exactly. And I did that heavily on scout team my sophomore year. And because a lot of guys may not want to do scout team. They may feel it's boring or feel as if like, hey, I don't really want to do this. But I just knew I wanted to play football.
Right.
I was happy that I finally got to play football again. So despite me not starting on JV or varsity, I was like, I want to play football. This is my chance to go out here and play football. I don't have to worry about overthinking, making sure I'm overly right on assignment and alignment. Like I just go out here and I get to play football. So I took advantage of that, and I did it on special teams a lot. Because Coach Thomas, he does our kickoff,
the hit squad.
So I took advantage of that a lot, and specifically with the defensive scout. So I remember my sophomore year, I was kind of too small, which is funny speaking on it now, but I was too small to be playing D-line on scout. So I went to Coach Davis and I asked him, I was like, how is it that I can contribute on scout? Like I want to have a role. So he told me try linebacker. And so I went to Coach Zito, Coach Crowder, asked him if I could practice with Coach Hilton so I can gain a little experience at linebacker just so I could do it for scout.
Really? And how'd that conversation go?
It was fine because I think around the time we were towards the end of the season, so the JV had pretty much done. We were going to like Central Catholic games, playoffs.
Okay.
So I pretty much had to only focus on scout team. Like I didn't have any JV games, anything like that. So I told them, and they were focus on like making sure our starting guys were ready and things of that nature. So they didn't really have a problem with it. And so that was like just my dedication for scout. I was like, I'm going to go practice with this coach so I can be prepared to get him a look on scout.
That might be the first time I've ever heard a story like that. That is awesome. That is awesome. And it's cool just because, as football coaches, you always want guys who are excited about football and excited about playing football.
Right.
And, sometimes everybody in the world's so distracted now, and there's so many things to do and so many other opportunities to play other things or do whatever. And it's like when you get a guy who's like, well, I just want to get in and play. So scout team's good for me, man. So, that's awesome, man. So, as kind of we go through, senior year now, and again, you're a huge contributor to our team and our defense. And, I think that work ethic is what kind of puts you above, where you used to be, or put you above other guys who might not get as much action. Yes, so talk a little bit about that work ethic now that you're part of the game plan. You're learning the stuff, ins and outs of varsity, and the little tweaks and changes we do every week, and how that looks.
So I would say it started off with the basis of, like I said, where I was freshman year and sophomore year. Like I always been a hard worker. I told myself coming into football, I was like, look, we're not about to go out here and like you just finna just sit around. Like, no, football is a physical game. You're finna have to hit people. You're gonna have to work out. You're gonna have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions. I told myself that coming into this. So that pretty much carried me on through my freshman and sophomore year, and it really picked up in my junior year. So going into junior year, coach told me, like, he didn't say that I wouldn't be able to play varsity, but he was like, you're gonna be a JV guy.
Right.
And so I took that with a grain of salt. Like I literally had the same exact mindset that I had going in the scout for JV. I was like, I don't care that it's JV. I want to play football.
Yeah.
I get to go out here and play football. And it's even better if I know that I'm going to dominate my opponent because I'm going to have more fun. So I took advantage of JV. And I made plays on JV, and I showed my coaches that I was capable of making those plays, and even ended up getting some varsity playing time last year, even though that wasn't the plan.
Right.
And the guy that you see on Friday night, the plays that I make, that pretty much developed last year. It's just that now with this off season that I had, I'm able to showcase it on the bigger stage.
Yeah.
Like I've always been the same guy and just constantly been working until I got to this point.
So, and that work ethic is a big part of what makes you. Yes, you know, and I've heard coaches say that. When I first got here, I heard coaches say that, you know, hey, man, at Varmall, he's been working his tail off, and, you know, he's going to get some action this year, and he's going to be a big part of what we do. So, kind of switch gears here. You know, something I've asked everybody who's been on, or I've asked them a version of this question every time they've come on. Yes, leadership. Right. You know, leadership and locker room culture and some of those things. And, you know, what is your role with regards to that? Do you consider yourself as somebody who could help get other guys right? Or you just kind of try to control what you can control? Do you see yourself as some kind of locker room leader in the locker room?
So this, like, in terms of my leadership role, is kind of funny because I'm the only child. I don't have any siblings, but to a lot of guys, I'm older than a lot of guys in the locker room. So I almost feel like I have a big brother relationship with a lot of those guys. And, you know, when in terms of leadership, you have a lot of guys who choose maybe more of an aggressive approach. Or you have others that choose maybe a hype approach or something that's like quiet and just let their game speak for themselves. In a game where you have to be tough, I kind of take more of an emotional approach.
Okay.
Like, for example, I will pull guys aside and I'll just talk to you. I'll be like, look, you're a great football player. You have the chance to go out here and make plays. You have the chance to put yourself on the map and possibly help you and your family. Like, just go out here and do the things that you need to do. It's not gonna hurt you. It's only gonna better you. If guys are going through a hard time, I'll be like, well, we have a field out here. You get to hit people.
Yeah.
Take it out here. Work through your problems on the field with your brothers. And that's kind of the approach that I take. I just feel like a lot of times people don't think about what people may be going through in their life. And, you know, whenever you put in a position like high intense situations like practice and games every time, it's just hard. Like, you can get lost in that.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just try to draw it back in with a lot of my guys and just let them know that I'm here to talk to them. They can talk to me, that they can only get better with the production that they produce, and if they're willing to work for it. And then that's really off the field. And then in terms of speaking on the field, I'm kind of like, I try to be that thought in the back of your head. So, for example, whenever you're caught up in the camaraderie of the game, you don't really think to yourself, hey, I need to be watching the ball, or hey, I have this assignment, I need to do this. So I try to be that voice in the back of your head, like reminding you, like, hey, watch the ball right here.
In the heat of battle, kind of be the thought that they're not thinking of right there.
You know you have to do it, but it's not the first thing on your mind because you're trying to think about where you need to be, how you need to do it. And so,
and what's funny, I was having this conversation with one of our coaches yesterday. That coaches do that same thing. You know, sometimes a certain coach is caught up in what he's doing, and, you know, a different coach might see something else who's not involved in that particular situation. So you just kind of give a quick reminder, hey, don't forget this. Right. You know, you're kind of you become each other's, you know, you right and left hand that way. Right. You know, you help each other out that way. So let's talk about goals, man. I want to talk about goals. So you've been on the team all 4 years. You know, something else I've talked to all the seniors about. Yes, you know, the 2023 run to the state championship. You know, what's it like for you specifically? You know, because I had Tyson on here and I asked, I said, well, does coming up short motivate everyone in terms of, hey, I think about this all the time as I'm approaching my game because I got to get back there? Or is it, hey, I remember that happened, but that's not necessarily a day-to-day motivator? Where does something like that, an experience like that, fall for you? Is that something that every day motivates you, or is it you don't necessarily need that as fuel? You're just motivated by other things?
I'll say both.
Yeah.
Personally. So speaking first in terms of state championship, it wasn't really the loss of the state championship that drove me, because I knew I had 2 more years left. And to be honest with you, it didn't mean the same, that loss, because I knew I had more years left.
Right.
That loss affects somebody who that was their last year more. So I wouldn't say the loss really affected me. It was that pushing that drive, but the experience, both being there and getting there. So, for example, that Dutchtown game, like not knowing if we would have the opportunity,
the 2-day extravaganza.
Exactly. like situations like that are what fuel me, because I know it took a lot for those guys to come back out here the second day going down, because we were already down on points. So you had to match their points and score more for us to get to where we ended up, and then getting to the dome itself. So that experience of getting there, seeing how hard those guys work, that's our motivation, because we can do the same thing. It's just about if you're willing to do it. And then the whole second part about this is I love football. I've grown to love football over the years, because I wasn't like really overly involved with the sport when I started. My love for the sport grew, and when I truly love something and care for something, you don't have to force me to do it.
Right.
Which is why I took those approaches on Scout Team. I took those approaches on JV, because I loved it, and nobody was forcing me to do anything. I just loved it, and I took advantage of every opportunity I was given. And that's my motivation, as well as the fact that I know a lot of people don't expect me to succeed. So I'll give you an example. I'm like 5'7", pushing close to 180. I've played nose in a varsity game.
Yeah.
And consistently, multiple times. And people may look at me and like expect me not to do much, but I know those eyes are watching me. I know that there may be somebody that I'm not expecting to be watching me. And I know that I have to go out here and put on a show and make sure that I represent myself accordingly.
Right.
Like, this is leading out of high school. This is a business. This is most people's lives. And that's not, I don't want to live my life in terms of football of somebody having to make me do something, having to get me here. Like, you just have to do it. And that's a want that a lot of guys don't have.
It's a process-oriented approach where you're focused on the day-to-day and how you want to get up and do the best you can that day, versus thinking about the end goal. Even though the end goal is ultimately in everybody's mind, you don't focus on that. It's there, but you focus on the day-to-day to get there more so than what's going to actually happen. Because if you put everything together the right way, eventually all those goals, they take care of themselves.
They come together.
You know, so talking goals post high school, senior year,
Yes,
you know, are you on the college track? Are you going to go learn a trade? What does next year after football hold for you?
So, to be honest with you, my production with football, I've shocked myself. Like, coming into this sport, like I said, it was just something I wanted to do for fun, and my love for it grew, and I didn't expect to be having the productivity that I am. Just a testament to my hard work. And so now that I've seen what I'm capable of and what I can do, I have a lot more confidence in what I can do on the next level. I want to play college football.
Okay.
And I don't want to just play college football. Like, I want to go to a top program and I want to dominate.
Yeah.
Like, same here. I came here. This is the top 5A program. State championships on top of state championships. It wasn't expected for me to come here at my size and my stature and do what I did. I want to do that all over.
But you did it anyway.
Level. Exactly. People will try to limit you, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to limit yourself. And that's how I feel about football. So I wish to continue playing on the collegiate level and having an impact and showing people like, hey, this guy may not be as big as everybody else, but like my heart bigger than yours. I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna play. And then outside of football, I wish to do sports psychology.
Okay.
Because like I told you, this game is just as much mental as it is physical. Like, for example, they'll have guys who get injured and technically they're healed and they can play, but mentally they're stuck.
They can't get over
what happened to them. And so there are not a lot of people who can tap in with the emotional side of how players are feeling or what they're going through to help them get back to the position that they were in. And I feel like I could be a guy like that because I've had experiences like that in my life, just without the schooling and the training and things of that nature. And so outside of planning to do that for the rest of my life, I would be very blessed to. But also, I would like to go to that field.
So And I also hear you got a bit of an unofficial record here in Zachary of being the longest player interview on the Brew Show. Is that true?
Yes, sir. That I don't mind talking. Like as you can see, I don't mind talking, and also I know that the right person may see this. Mm-hmm. The right person may find this, watch this, and if I'm kind of timid and laid back and not giving them my full self, they don't get to see me. They don't get to experience me and know what I'm about as a person.
Yeah.
And this allows me to open myself up to somebody that I may have a future job with one day, a potential coach who would like to recruit me.
Yeah.
He would like to watch this and see how I am as a person, like just outside of my ability to play
Absolutely.
football.
Absolutely.
So,
having people skills, the ability to communicate,
right,
and be able to, and also be able to sell yourself, you know, and that's huge. And not enough people actually possess that skill. Whether or not it could be learned, who knows, but some people are just kind of born with that gift of being able to be put on camera, or be able to be put in front of a group of people and just be able to present and talk and just, make it like it's just regular conversation between two people, man. So John, we're having a good season right now. We haven't lost yet,
right.
Obviously long way to go and a lot bigger mountain to climb coming up.
Yes,
but what does the rest of the season look like for the Broncos?
I'm going to want to know every week.
Got to.
I'm going to want to know every week.
You got to.
If I had to say, that's probably the most important thing, because it's easy to get caught up in wins and losses, how bad you beat this team, how bad you lost to this team. This is pretty much my mindset going into every week, every game that we have. We have 3 hard days of practice. Mm-hmm. You got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of practice. Thursday is a walkthrough, and then Friday you have to be ready to play. Mm-hmm. If you can do everything that you're supposed to do and get coached up in those 3 days, and then make sure that we all good on Friday, we can go 1-0 every week. Being 1-0 every week puts us in a position to go make a playoff run. Mm-hmm. Being 1-0 every week during playoffs puts us in a position to go play in a state game. So it's like, don't get lost in scores, records, not even just for ourselves, but other teams. Mm-hmm. Just focus on the things that we have to do so we can succeed, and that will take care of us in the long term.
Because once that whistle blows, really none of that outside stuff matters. That's for other people to debate stats and records and things like that. And
exactly,
and it's not a bad thing to want to achieve great stuff, but like you said, as long as the mentality is, well, the goal is to 1-0.
1-0.
As long as that's the goal, all of that other stuff that you might want, that'll take care of itself. As long as you ultimately focus on that 1-0. Man, John, I've enjoyed this, man. We're going to get Coach Crowder in here next, but Senior John Varmall, thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Back for another week with our coach's interview, our coach's spotlight. This week, we have defensive line coach Hunter Crowder. Coach, thank you for the time.
No problem at all, Bill. Yep.
So obviously title of the show, Inside the Z, and probably no person better in the show is Inside the Z than somebody who is an alum.
Yeah.
So how long you been coaching here?
So I started in 2018. So I think this is my 8th year. It's either 7th or 8th. So we were at Sandoval before that. And anyways, it's been a great experience coming back home. My wife is also from here, so we're close to family now. And in fact, I think I've got my mother talked into watching our kids tomorrow night. So that we're excited about that, Danielle and I. Mm-hmm. So that'll be good.
So Is it mean anything different than it would mean to somebody who just kind of got hired here, be it being your alma mater?
That's a good question, man. I don't know that I would speak for somebody else. I will say this, that it means a lot to me working here. I always at some point knew that I wanted to come back here and give back to the community that gave so much to me growing up. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that it would be 2018 whenever it happened. It just kind of happened, and I've enjoyed my time back here. I think that my family, I know my wife enjoys living here, being a part of the community. She works at a local small business here in the town. So like I said, my biggest thing is it means a lot to me, but I wouldn't want to speak for somebody else that comes in and gets a job. It may mean a lot to them too, to get a job here. So,
and I asked that because you see when a lot of people get into coaching, and I can speak for the people I say I went to college with, or people I kind of got in with. A lot of them, I just want to go back to my old high school, and they wanted to just kind of recreate the experience that they were given, and in a positive way. And they just felt like it gave so much to them. They wanted to go and kind of continue that or give it back. But that's not always without stops along the way. So, what's kind of your journey that took you back here in 2018?
So, I went and played football at Louisiana College. Now it's Louisiana Christian. Okay, and we were finishing up. I had student teaching that I had to do the first semester after I had finished playing football. So I knew I wanted to get into coaching. So student taught at Pineville High School and coached at Louisiana College at the time. And we had a really good team that year. I say really good team. We made the playoffs for the first time in program history. So that was a really fun experience. I got to work under the O-line coach that coached me at LC. And so that was really, really fun. And I had a great experience, but I knew that I wanted to settle down and put roots somewhere. I didn't really want to get into the college coaching life where you're moving and you're out recruiting and all. I knew I wanted to just settle in somewhere and coach high school football. So I wanted to move back home, and I did. And it didn't work out for me getting a job here at Zachary that first time around. I tried to get on here, and it just didn't work out. And I ended up Neil Weiner, who was the coach here at Zachary at the time, when it finally didn't work out. I was like, Coach, look, is there any way you could help me get on somewhere? And Neil got right on it. I mean, within a week, I was sitting down with the principal at Santa Maria High School, and through no one else that I knew other than Neil. Neil contacted David Oliver over there and got it set up, and it just happened to work, and everything kind of just fell into place. And I stayed at Santa Maria for 5 years, coaching offensive line, and learned so much. And David Oliver, Big O is what we call him, and I know I've
affectionately call him, right?
No doubt, absolutely. And I got, working with him, man, I don't know that I could really put into words what he meant to me at the time and what those guys on staff meant to me at that time. It's a funny situation now looking back at it. When I first got hired, the entire offensive coaching staff was in their first year. So I was coaching O-line for the first year, where the position was just mine. And then my buddy Justin Morrow, who's now at Parkview, he was coaching the receivers. It was his first year. It was Seth Babin's first year as the coordinator. And then, obviously Big O helped us out a lot and really, really kind of pushed us along the way, as we were going and taught us all three a lot. I still remember we were struggling to run the ball early on in the season. And we get in there for a staff meeting one day, and Big O's, I got this play we ran in college. It might be a good for us, kind of might fit our personnel good. So he comes in and installs it.
Yeah.
And we go to inside, and I'm telling you, when I say the defense had been stoning us and inside the whole year, and then we go out there running this play, and it's like it's just easy yardage, and we're all looking at Big O like, man, where was this play at 5 weeks ago, man? Like, God, we've been struggling, And so I guess, that mentor relationship that I had with him and a lot of the guys on that staff was really a special thing. And we all kind of grew together, and that offensive staff worked together for 5 years in a row, untouched, no new faces in or anything. So we got really, really comfortable there for a while and got really set in, all right, this is what we do. We knew who we were. There was a set culture that the kids knew the expectations, and we had some success, man, offensively at that time. And then we were living in Denham, and my wife was working here in Zachary. I was working in Santa Maria. So we were so scattered.
Right.
And she basically told me, look, you're welcome to keep working at Santa Maria. I love the area. I love your coaches that you work with. I got no issue with you coaching Santa Maria, but we're moving to Zachary because I want to be near both sets of families to help with the kids. We had 2 children at the time, both our daughters. And I mean, what can you say?
Right.
You know, yeah, you do need help. You do need more help than what I can provide right now, and we need to get near family. And a position came open here, and it ended up working out where Coach Brew was able to get me on, and it was coaching D-line is a funny thing now. When I tell my buddies, yeah, I coach D-line and I coordinate special teams, and they're like, you mean that old sloppy right guard that played with us and was a O-line guy is coaching D-line and special teams? Like, yeah, he is, you know, and it's just kind of a funny thing amongst my friends who knew me or still know me, but knew me back then when that was the farthest thing from what you would think I'd be coaching.
So, and there's a lot to unpack there, because the coaching side is so interesting, because I've been told, because one of my first jobs was an offensive line assistant, and you know, I had some guys with much more experience than me tell me things like, once you learn the offensive line, you've effectively learned the entire field and how things work. You know, would you say that's true with I mean, obviously you played offensive line, so you had a background in it, but also seeing from a coaching perspective, but then having to jump to a different position, did that background in coaching the offensive line help you?
Yes, it did help me, but I felt very unconfident. You know, Chandler Whitfield, who's here now and is an alum, he sees me out there coaching now, and he was a senior my first year, right, whenever I came back and coach here. And I was talking to him the other day, and I said, Chandler, I'm not really how you remember me, huh? He's like, dude, you were so quiet my first year. And I was like, Chandler, that's because I was very uncomfortable with what I was coaching. And I knew what I knew as an O-line coach. Mm-hmm. And yes, that absolutely helped me. It did. But I still was not confident in what I was coaching. I was learning as much as I could, and I was paying attention to everything that I could pay attention to with defensive line play and defensive football play. But the things that I just didn't know, I didn't know. And I had to learn on the fly, and probably coaching O-line helped me. But I would say what helped me more was the people that I was coaching with, and them being patient with me when they needed to be patient with me. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to call it urgent with me whenever I needed to, right. Let's get up and go. It's time to start learning. You know, I remember one year we got done with the season, and I don't remember which season it was, but Brew and I sit down at the end of the season, and he's like, listen, stop referring to yourself as an offensive lineman. You're not an O-lineman. You're a defensive line coach, man. Like that, you know, he just kind of basically, you know, look, just do it. You know, do it. You're here. You're doing it. You're fine. You know your stuff. Just be it. And I think that was a big thing for me to hear at the time, and I think it gave me a lot of confidence moving forward, and probably helped us see a little more success than what we were seeing at the time with our defensive line. So
you kind of had to get out of your own way a little bit.
You do. Yeah.
And you know, because when I was at Woodlawn last year, our offensive coordinator, Storm Reeves, he used to like to say, I wish every coach on the staff would have offensive line experience. And because I think just the way you coach those guys, there's a cohesion that's necessary there.
100%.
You know, there's a 100%. Level of anonymity, you know, but also what they do is so important, mm-hmm. you know, and the mentality of the guy that's got to lead those men is you know, it can't be understated, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree. And I think that when I really got comfortable with coaching defensive line, I coached it a lot like I coached offensive line. Mm-hmm. You know, it was very similar. It was that we were always more of a backs against the wall, right. Man. It's us or we don't. Either we get it done or it doesn't get done type mentality. And when I did finally start to settle into defensive football, I think that was what started coming out mm-hmm. in me again. You know, I kind of told Chandler, I was like, when he made that comment, I said, you know, well, you really didn't get to know me that year. That really wasn't me. That what you're seeing right now is really mm-hmm. more of me. I was so uncomfortable, you know, at the time.
And it's difficult.
It is. Yeah, it is.
So let's talk about that conversation with Brew. Obviously, okay, so your wife tells you, hey, we're moving to Zachary. We got to be close to family. We got a young family of our own. We're going to need the extra hands. My wife is pregnant right now, so I've had that talk before about how we can't move out of Ascension Parish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I definitely understand that. So what's that conversation like with Brew when he finally brings you on and assigns you whatever your role is at the time and introduces you to what, because obviously it's different because it's not the same head coach you played for. It's not the same head coach who tried to get you a job.
Doubt.
So now it's different, and they had already had a little bit of success.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. They were at the time, and that was what was very intimidating for me. I was coming in and coaching a position that I wasn't very comfortable on. The team had just won 2 state championships in the last 3 years.
It wasn't your Zachary anymore.
No, not at all like what it was whenever I was. I mean, we were at that time when I was at Zachary, man, if you could get a quarterfinal run, we were really, really excited about that at the time. And now here, Coach, if we lose in the quarterfinals, man, it's not good. It's not, that's
Coach,
not.
I like to joke that the playoffs don't start in Zachary until the quarters.
Yeah.
That's round 1.
Yeah. And it is absolutely expectation.
And that's no disrespect to anybody else, but just the mentality of, hey, we expect to get to the third round. That's expectation.
Yeah. So that was when I came in and man, I just didn't want to mess it up. We had like 8 returning starters on defense that year. So I mean, man, you need to win it. If you don't, we were in a situation where if we didn't win it, man, it was like you didn't succeed at your goals, and so that was at the time for me a very intimidating thing to take on. I had never really been a part of a culture like that. Now, as far as Coach Brew, there was one connection that I still had here at Zachary that if I didn't have that connection, I probably would. Coach Brew probably wouldn't even have ever known that I existed.
Right.
A buddy of mine told me that a position had come open here at Zachary, and Coach Davis, the offensive line coach that's still here today, he was my offensive line coach when I was here at Zachary. So I knew that we were trying to move back to Zachary. There's a position open. Man, I got a chance, to get on there. If not, I'm happy at Santa Maria, but boy, I'm about to commute.
That's a hell of a drive.
It is. I mean, that's a big commitment, and I had already been doing it and really wanted to get out of that life if I could, and kind of get a little closer to where I work, where I could spend some more time with my kids. And so I contacted Coach Davis and I just said, look, if you'll just give me Coach Brew's number, I'd like to reach out and just see if I can get on over there. I don't know if I can or not, but I'm going to try. And he sent me the number and I reached out and left a voicemail with Coach Brew. And you know how Coach Brew is. I mean, he's the ultimate poker player. He left me on read for the weekend, and he contacted me back. And at that point, man, I just needed something. Just give me an in. And so he calls me. I'll probably answer on the first ring. Oh, Coach, what's up? Hey, and I start trying to explain to him who I am, and this is what. And Coach is such a that's an intimidating thing for a young guy that had never experienced the level of success that the program has seen. That was a very intimidating thing for me, talking to him and trying to sell myself.
Yeah, and absolutely.
But he's got such a way of calming you down, and he is in no way the type of guy that makes you feel big time when you contact him. You feel like you're talking to just a regular friend.
Coach, we're going to blow his cover right here. And I don't even think he wants the cover, but I told him this privately last week. I said, I have a buddy who works at South Lafourche. He went to an AD meeting that apparently it was a statewide type thing. And he said, oh, man, when Coach Brew walked through the door, man, everybody just kind of looked that way. And as if he had this aura, and Brew looked at me like, really?
And and that's what's awesome about him is the way that he handles success and the way that he looks at, moving forward. What are we going to do to continue the success? He's not the type that sits on what he's done. And so it calmed me down a lot talking to him that night. We scheduled a meeting and it all ended up working out. And he's been every bit as good and positive of a mentor for me as my own father, or as David Oliver was, or Dennis Dunn, or Mike Richard, or all these people that have had such positive impacts on me. He's been every bit of that. And look, I go into his office a lot and just ask for advice on stuff outside of football. I look at his family and seems like a happy family to me.
Right.
And he's got a lot going on, just like I got a lot going on. And man, when I'm struggling a little bit, I may go in there and ask him about different things and how he handles different situations that come up in this profession. And he's gotten me through some difficult things at times, and it's been a really, really positive relationship here with as far as me to him, and been a great experience so far.
Are there any, and these are things you might not have noticed when you're a teenager, but I guess looking back and being here now, plus looking back, are there any differences as far as, excitement in the community or just what the football program does locally for the town of Zachary? Was it always kind of that excitement, or has that changed a lot because of things that Coach Brew has done? Is it the success? Does that culture of the city look different now than it did back when you were actually in it? Yeah, it does. It does. The expectations and the things that community members, when I talk to them, the things that are said now are so much different than what was being said to me in 2008. In 2008, man, I remember talking to one of my buddies, Adam Cupid, and his sister Amanda works here at the high school still today, and their late father, Mr. Rafe Cupid, he calls me during the week. We were in the quarterfinals, and we were playing Washita, and we had a really, really good team my 10th grade year. And he calls, he says, "Hey man, how you feeling about the game this week?" Adam was on the team as well. And I said, "Man, Mr. Cupid, I feel really good, man. I think we got a good chance to win." He's like, "A chance? Man, we winning this game. Don't go into talking about no chance." I was like, okay. He had what he was saying is how people talk to me today. If I go in talking about we got a chance, a lot of these people are like, "A chance? What are you talking about, a chance? We got to win." But a lot back then, it was a lot more. We were excited to be there, instead of expecting to be there and expecting to succeed. And that I guess that would be the biggest difference. As far as the community support, man, I think the community's been about the same the whole time from a support standpoint. I think we were very well supported back then, and when I was in school here. So I wouldn't say that it's any more or less committed. It's just the expectations amongst community members. And what I'd like to do on this show is, down the road, once we get towards playoff time, obviously I will have had a chance to interview all the coaches and all that. And I'd like to do something to where we talk about some of the title teams as we get towards playoff time. So I'm not going to ask you to go into too much detail, but what's it like to win it all? Oh man, because you won twice. Yeah, we've been a part of. Yeah, well, you start with boot camp, and then you go all the way to grind of a season, and then you finally get to cash in. What is that like? So, in 2000, the first time I did it, I don't know how much I was really processing at that time. How much I was really noticing compared to 2021 when we did it the second time. That first time, man, you walk in and you're looking at this stadium that you're in and this dome, and you've heard people your whole life talking about it. And now you're doing it. As far as I was just trying to win the game, whatever it took to win the game. And that was what I was just so into at the time. And then whenever we won it and the way we won it, they're right there towards the end. Dramatic Coach, fashion. Look like we were going to win that game, and then history got made, and Screen to Hilton, the rest is history. Yeah. Man. And so it was just such this emotional roller coaster. And the defensive line at that time, there was, I think we had 6 guys that we were rotating in, and they just played so hard and so good. And Caleb Jackson, he was our leader of the group at that time, and he made so many plays that night. And it really I did the kid a disservice back then. I think if I could get him back now, and man, I could do so much more with that kid. But he was so talented, and just the
absolute type of mindset that a teenager should have going into their senior year and what they need to get done. That second time around, what was it like that time? It was such a special thing because of the defensive line group that year. We had a ton of seniors. I mean, we were rotating in probably 8 guys at 4 positions, and 6 of them were seniors type thing.
Fresh as could be, too.
And look, just, Coach, what does it take to win? Okay, well, you need to do this. Well, it's getting done, and that was their mentality. So I guess there are weird things that you remember about each of them, and special memories about not only in the Superdome, but the playoff run throughout. That's just so much happens, and all that I can say, Brew describes it like this, and it's so true. It's once you do it, and you get to experience. He calls it the sweet nectar. When you get to experience the sweet nectar of the Superdome and winning it, it's like nothing else is gonna be enough, until we get back there and we do that again, that special place. And when that, that's when you get the high and the emotional release of winning that thing, man. I guess that's the best way I could. I'm doing a terrible job of describing it, but that's the best I can do.
That's awesome.
At describing it. So anyway.
So as we wind down, all right, I've taken enough of your time. Go out, have a chance to have a little fall break until they make us come back to school tomorrow. This is actually not related to Zachary, but this is what we're going to end on. EA Santa rivalry. It's
this week.
Ascension Parish is on its head right now. And I'm not even sure if they're in school. I don't know. Their fall break this week. I don't work there anymore, so I don't pay attention. But I know that the AP is losing its mind right now. There's never been so much jambalaya being passed around.
No
toilet paper.
No doubt.
Who you got?
Oh man, I've got to go with senior quarterback Cooper Babin.
Yep.
With his dad as the offensive coordinator, Seth Babin, and his Hall of Fame grandfather, dad, and uncle to win this year of the Santa Maria Gators over
that is
EA.
One hell of a legacy over there.
Boy. And Babin's got all inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Pretty sure the Babins own Ascension Parish.
And look, I texted Seth. Cooper's had a bunch of good games over the years. He's in his senior year, and he's been starting since he was a freshman. The other day, a few weeks ago, they played, I think it was Cecilia, and he scored 8 touchdowns. All right. 4 passing and 4 rushing. All right. I mean, what a game. 8 touchdowns. That's nuts. And so I texted Seth. I said, man, Al Bundy ain't got nothing on Cooper Babin. You know what I'm saying? And Seth, he laughed. And I just said, man, enjoy every minute of your boy's senior year. So I'm going to go with the Gators. I'm going to say that they're going to take it. I believe it's at Santa Maria too. And
it's at the pit.
And that's one thing, at least when I was there, I don't know what it's been like the last 6 or 7 years since I've been gone, but the home team with the senior quarterback had really –
it tipped the scales a little bit.
It was a big deal in that rivalry.
It was.
Man.
It was.
And so having that situation, and I don't know East Ascension's quarterback situation. They may have a senior as well, but there for a while, it just kind of randomly happened where – one team would have a junior at quarterback, one team would have a senior, and the senior will win. Then the next year, that junior would step up. He'd win over the new junior. It's kind of I don't know, it just randomly happened that way.
What makes any rivalry a rivalry is the fact that you can't call who's going to win, because I'm pretty sure if it's not dead even, it's a 1-game difference.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
To this day.
Absolutely. It was half and half when I was there, and every year – one would win, and then I got 1 win over him, and then the other one would tie it up the next year or whatever. So,
but anyway, Coach, man, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate the time during fall break. It is homecoming here at the Z, so happy homecoming to you.
Yep.
Being an alum and everything. But again, thank you for the time, Coach.
Yeah, no problem, pal. Thank you.
That's a wrap for today's show. Thank you for tuning in to Inside the Z, the Zachary Football Podcast. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Don't forget, like and subscribe.